Welcome to the League of Conqueror. Who are the best champions you should play in 11-16? And have some of the changes made some champions giga broken? What's up, GameLeap? Oh, the jizz. And in today's video, we are going to reveal the 3 best champions for each role on the 11-16 Rift. The new patch dropped today, so to give yourself the best chance of winning your games for the next 2 weeks, listen up. So let's get right into it and start with the 3 best top laners. So the 3rd best top laner you can pick for 11-16 is TAHM KENCH. And despite getting nerfed this patch, so you're passive and then you're healing from your tongue lash, he's still going to be very strong in the top lane. And for each of these picks, what I'm going to do is throw the runes and build you should run on your screen right now. And I'm also going to give you one tip for each champion that is going to help you so much. So the one for TAHM KENCH, timing your regurgitate with your Q. Because when you spit an enemy out, you can lead this into a guaranteed tongue lash, and that's damage. So sometimes you might even think twice about queuing before you devour the enemy because you won't have it back up when you spit them out. This is just a consistent and reliable way of maximizing your DPS in those 1v1s. Now the 2nd best top laner you guys can pick for 11-16 is CAMILLE, and she's been good all season, but even this patch with Divine Sunder being so strong, she has to be on this list. Now the tip I'm going to give you for CAMILLE as you copy down the runes and build is to trade around your passive. Now your passive does have a cooldown, so it's very important before you actually trade with the enemy champion to think about, are you going to have that shield or not? Because if you do have your passive, especially with Grasping and Dying, there is a very good chance you win pretty much every single trade. So before you go in, just think to yourself, do I have my passive? But the best top laner for 11-16, kind of similar to CAMILLE, it's a Conqueror DPSer, and this is RIVEN. And because there are no nerfs to RIVEN, she has to be number 1 with Gore Drinker and the rest of the build you're seeing on your screen now, and the runes as well. Now the difference between a great RIVEN and an average one is how much they auto attack as part of their combos. So when the enemy champion is in melee range, auto attack and then Q and combo. Anyone can Q 3 times, then W, then E out, and this is what lots of inexperienced RIVENs do. They just use their abilities without making use of that passive. So get used to auto attacking before and during your combos. It's going to maximize that DPS and separate you from everyone else. Now let's head to the mid lane and talk about the 3 best champions here. Now coming in at number 3 is SYLAS. So if you want an AP damage dealer in the mid lane and the enemy team might have like a Malphite or a Hecarim, someone's ultimate who's really good for you to steal, then SYLAS is going to be a great pick. With Everfrost and Lucidity, boost your mythic spike, your early to mid game spike, this is one of the best in the game. And as SYLAS, I want you to think about using your R as part of an all-in combo. And it sounds weird, but by using your R mid-fight, this is another passive stack. And ever since Riot bug fixed this earlier in the season, it gives you a chance to increase your damage output. So while you're fighting an enemy champion, don't be afraid to steal their ultimate just to get another passive auto off. This is damage, this is DPS. Now coming in at number 2, I don't think this is going to surprise any of you, it's another Conqueror champion, and this is KATARINA. And KATARINA is just so easy to make work, even though you have a bad early game, well kind of, it's still so easy even if you're behind just to have a massive impact on a game and 1v9. Now the tip is to headbutt your keyboard, and to really master the art of headbutting, you can just stand opposite a wall and launch yourself into it. The more power you get, the better you're going to be at KATARINA. Now coming in at number 1, this is IRELIA, another Conqueror champion. And for IRELIA, you did get nerfed a couple of patches ago, so your W, but has this really changed anything? No. But just to make sure you don't run it down, even though it's pretty much impossible at the moment, I want you to soften up minions with your W and auto attacks so you create a stepping stone for your Q. So if you ever want to jump on the enemy champion, most of the time you are going to need to blade surge to an enemy in between the two of you. So by lowering the HP of the enemy minions, when you Q to last hit it, your Q resets and you can use it immediately on the enemy champion. It's also a good idea to try time this so your Q on your opponent is your 4th passive stack. Now let's head to the bot lane, guys, and talk about the 3 best AD carries or AP carries in the bot lane for 11-16. So coming in at number 3 is Aphelios. And for so long this season, I have said that Aphelios is one of the worst champs, especially for solo queue. But right now, I think he's really strong. He works well with every support in the game, so it doesn't matter what type of support you have, you work well with them. And thanks to all the buffs this season, Aphelios is just in a really strong spot. Now, what you have to do if you're going to play Aphelios is master the swap combo, which is where you Q out with one weapon into another, so you get another Q instantly. If you do this properly with both weapons you have, and they have 10 or less ammo, which is essential for this to work, you can get 4 Qs off in a matter of seconds. It's also a great thing to have this ready before a fight, and we also made an Aphelios site a couple of days ago, so if you want a breakdown of Aphelios' kit and how to play him at the highest level, make sure you check that out. Now the 2nd best AD carry you can pick for 11-16 is probably going to be the most consistent one, and this is ASHE. And for ASHE, with Halo Blades, as you see on your screen now, this rune page, this keystone is so good. Now as a lane bully anyway, you were good, but with Halo Blades, it pretty much means you can't really lose a trade. Your W is a great tool early on for harass and to actually CC the enemy champion. It gives you more opportunity to chase them down and to stop them from chasing you. And once you get to level 6, we all know about your ultimate. Now the tip for ASHE is your Q is an auto attack reset. So when you auto attack and you have your Q stacked and ready to go, press it immediately after your auto attack attack goes out and you can auto attack again instantly. This is huge for your DPS, and the best Ashe players in the world do it all the time. Now the best bot laner, notice how I said bot laner there, for 11-16 guys, is going to be ZIGGS. And even though ZIGGS has been nerfed next patch, like seriously, you're getting more mana, and the E changes are just kind of redundant, to be honest. They don't really mean that much. Now the tip for ZIGGS, when you use your W in a fight to escape or gap close, put your W just behind yourself. You want this to be instant, right? You don't want a W, then walk for 2 seconds and then launch into the air. The only time you would want to throw your charge away from you is if you are flashing onto it. By doing this, so making it more instant, you give the enemy champions less time to actually get on you, and yourself more of a chance of getting out, which is pretty much going to be all the time when you do it this quickly. Now we're going to show a bit more love to the bot lane here, and we're going to talk about the 3 best supports you can play for 11-16. And speaking of supporting, if you guys like this series of videos where we talk you through the 3 best champions for each role for each patch, let us know by leaving a like down below. And coming in at number 3 in the support department is Zyra. Now for Zyra, with Leandry's Anguish, and this costing 200 less gold for a support who, you know, it's kind of hard to get gold sometimes, but in every game you're going to get this at a point where it's still winnable, so you're always going to have an impact in a game. And just because Zyra is really obnoxious to play against, and you know, all you have to do in a team fight is really press R, and you've done your job. It's kind of like playing Brand, so Brand is also a good substitute here, but the tip for Zyra is to use your E in a high percentage way. So don't throw your E out when the enemy champions are standing at max range. Use your E when they are locked into doing something, so the enemy AD carry might move up for a last hit. That's a great opportunity to E them. The enemy champion might be CC'd from a jungle gank. That's a great opportunity to E them. So think about using your E where you're going to have a good chance of actually hitting it, not just because you have it off cooldown. This is going to be a waste, and if you do waste it, you leave yourself vulnerable. Now the second best support you guys can pick for 11-16 is Bard. And for Bard, the tip, straight into the tip here, do not use your ultimate when your teammates have engaged. You want to be using your ultimate in big team fights to catch the enemy backline when they are isolated, or to peel your own backline, from a Z-Def Mark for example, or a Rek'Sai ultimate. Way too many Bards use their R because, oh, I can hit 5 enemy champions. What you're really doing is stopping your team and helping the enemy team. Now the number 1 support for 11-16, this may surprise some of you, this is the rework SONA. So what Riot have given you is a massive early to mid game buff because your cooldowns are going to be shorter, your spells cost less mana, and with the ability haste from your items, the Jizz is calling it, SONA is going to be the most broken support by a country mile in 11-16, like legit freeload. And the tip for SONA is to get some duct tape and tape down your Q and W keys. Now last but not least guys, we have the 3 best jungle champions for 11-16, and if you want to master any of the champions or the roles we've talked about, please make sure to check out the GameLeap website. We upload up to 20 challenger tier videos a week. I say this every video, but it's true, that help thousands of your fellow summoners out there improve, and they're going to achieve their rank goals this season, so make sure you do the same by signing up. And coming in at number 3 is the 3rd best jungler for 11-16. This is Nocturne. Might sound a little bit surprising, but Nocturne for me is actually still really broken. The fact that your ultimate's cooldown is still reduced from earlier in the season, and because you have the AoE to clear walls, raptors, and grugs, even if you were to just full clear an AFK, you're still going to be a menace because once you hit level 6 and you get that paranoia, like it's impossible to stop you at that point. But the tip for Nocturne I'm going to give you is actually where you use your ultimate from, because anyone can just press R on Nocturne and jump onto an enemy champion's head, right? But what you do 20 seconds before ulting is really important. So one tip is to go through your lanes and actually ult from the lane you want to gank, because most often if you go through tri brushes, if you go through river brushes or walk through the river, this stuff is going to be warded. So actually going through the back of the lane behind your towers, there is never going to be a ward here, obviously. So what you can do if you want to gank top lane, just run down top lane and gank it. Run down mid lane and gank that. Run down bot lane and gank that. This is going to give you a lot better quality of ultimates and more kills. Now the second best jungler for 11-16 guys, this is going to be Lee Sin. And even though Lee Sin is getting nerfed, so your healing is down in your W, this isn't really going to change that much because you're still getting healing from Conqueror and you're still getting enough healing from your W to sustain during these early to mid game team fights. But the tip I want to give you for Lee Sin is to use your E and flash to gap close early game when you're ganking or fighting enemy champions. So what lots of people do on Lee Sin is they use their Q from max range thinking that that's their only gap closer. Wrong. Of course you can ward hop W, that's another one, but even just using your E and your flash at the same time, this is a great way to guarantee your slow from your cripple, and then because you're closer to the enemy champion and they're slowed, this gives you a better chance of landing your Q. Now the number 1 jungler for another patch guys for 11-16, this is Fiddlesticks. Now the tip, you are good to go, okay, after you full clear and get your sorcery shoes, but if you are going to get cucked, it will be in the first few minutes. You might get invaded and give away first blood, and some enemy junglers like Graves, like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, they can be very hard to play against if you fall behind. So the tip is to ward your second buff. If you start red, ward your blue. If you start blue, ward your red. This is the protection you need to have a safe first clear, and after that, it should be smooth sailing. That was the video guys, and those were the 3 best champions for each role in 11-16. Make sure you copy down the runes and builds we gave you, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. out. And until tomorrow's video, this has been the Jizz.